As you'll probably guess by the name on this video, we're going to discuss events that have happened during the lifetime of the boomers, that is, the people born after 1946 until 1964. And in that list, there's some world-shaking events that at the time really were quite dramatic and affected us emotionally, to the point that we could even remember where we were on the day that we heard that news. And the case in point would be, everybody remembers where they were when they heard the news that John F. Kennedy had been assassinated, because that was going to shake up our world so dramatically. We'd gone through the Cuban Missile Crisis. Everybody was praising what a great guy he was, how he was saving the world, how he was going to get everybody out of the Vietnam War, blah, da, 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 da. Next thing, he's shot. So, how many people listening to this video could remember where they were when they heard the news that John F. Kennedy had been shot? Given that it happened in 1963, and for it to impact your life to that degree, you would have to have been at least 10 years old at the time, then that would do the maths, come to, you have to be 70 years old or more to be able to answer the question and say, yeah, of course. Even 70 years later, or 60 years later, I can still remember exactly where I was. So what that brings about then is to say, while a lot of these events that I'll show you in this list were extremely dramatic, world-shaking at the time, and we gave them great importance, and we all talked about them and commented and either said, tut tut, that's terrible, or yeehaw, that's great, they all fade into just a background buzz of historical events. And so I apply that to things that happen today, to know that no matter how earth-shattering or emotionally upsetting some event is that we're witnessing today, just give it a bit of time. It won't be very important later on. People have a great capacity to forget. Probably that's just as well. Okay, so let's get on with it. I'll show you the list. So there's my list, a world list, an Australia list. Not a comprehensive list. This is not a history lesson. It's not a documentary. This is just a grab bag of some things that I see that made us all sort of get a bit concerned and get a bit involved on the day when we were reading the headlines. And some people were sort of shouting these things out, a lot of people getting involved and getting discussions this way and that, people getting into arguments over the back fence about what's right and what's not right. And now that we've this far down the track from it all, we can see that it's all just faded off. It doesn't feel very important anymore. And while the boomer generation could remember those things very clearly and how they affected and influenced their lives, the Gen Z people, well, they obviously weren't there, but they can still remember. Maybe they read history books, unlikely. Perhaps they participated in quiz programs, because that's what these things are. They're trivia questions now. That's all of it. That's as important as they are to us now, because we're being pumped out the new world-shaking event is being thrown at us day after day by the media, especially now in the world with the internet. Oh my. And the reason that that's important to the media outlet to keep pumping the next big event and hyping it up to make sure that it's got our attention is because they want ratings, and ratings keep advertisers happy. Advertisers then pay lots of money to keep the media outlet running, and everybody feels good at the end of the day and starts racing around looking for the next event that they can beat up into a storm and get us all to look. And should you? At least we can now look at it through the lens of understanding that it won't be important for long, and mostly the people who are doing it don't care about our opinion. So if it's all just trivia questions, maybe we can just relax a bit when we're watching the news, because we know where it's all going to go. Now, finally, I've got one question, which I hope will provoke a little bit of thought and just let us get on with things. I put it up as a slide to close the video. I hope I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.